This thing up and out. What is up? Let's shut that off. I just got back from the gym. I'm starving. Starving and thirsty. Okay, we got a little delay. Let's see if I can change that in OBS really quick. Poop. How's everybody doing? We'll give it a couple minutes because it takes forever now for the YouTube notifications to go out. You guys can see my top secret, super secretive board. Should I cover that? Should I act like it's more special and important than it is? Who's staying up on the gym, by the way? Let me hear everybody. Hit me in the chat. Who's staying up on the gym lately? I've been slacking. Keep getting injured. Little micro injuries, and then I gotta stop, and then it's killing me, man. It's been a long road back. It really has. All right, let me drop a another annoying notification in Discord. It's what? 11 a.m. Are people, well, a lot of people are maybe at work. Bad video settings. Stream health, bad. Please use keyframe. Audio is off. Okay. Okay, how's that? How's that for audio? Hold on. Hit that in Discord. What do I got here? All right, audio. Push to me. No, I don't need that. I need advanced settings. Tony, how am I sounding now? It's still saying bad, which will cause buffering. Bad video settings. Where did I put the... It's good now. Okay. Now there's the... It's not going to let me change it now. Save as stream. New computer. I forgot my base settings. Let's see. How long is that delay now? Okay, that's not bad. That's like 3-second delay. If you guys can handle it, I can handle it. Replay buffer. Volume low. What about that? How's that sounding to everybody? Sounding better? Yeah, just check in. You guys hear me okay? I only got 8 people watching, so it's not too crazy. I haven't done a live stream in a really long time. Can't hear? Over a year, maybe? No, we did the live stream earlier this year for goal setting. Pamp it. Yeah, dude. Channel is dead, Andre. This is what's going on right now. It's unfortunate. It sucks. It sucks a lot because I put a ton of time into this channel and resources, and yeah. I try not to think about it because otherwise it's just really tragic. All right, so that's that. All right, let's jump into it. Okay, so what you can expect is we're going to touch on gold, specifically Russia, UK, JP Morgan. There's been some new revelations and new things happening there. Let me get this kind of out of the way. And then we're going to touch on China, macroeconomy a little bit. We're going to touch on some stuff that that's hot right now. We're way behind on uploads, just to let you guys know. I think there's 5 or 6 in that the editor's working on now, and then we have the podcast launching. So let me just quickly talk about some of this stuff to fill you guys in case you're not in the Discord, or maybe you're not following along. So we have the EmpireCast launching maybe first or second week of June. Just getting the artwork done now. We've got the first 4 episodes already shot. They need to be edited still, and then I want 2 more, and so we'll have 6 when we launch. And this is with people like, because now we're expanding out. Like I'm expanding out my portfolio. So this is with wealth planners, this is with CEOs, this is with people who own hundreds of properties and real estate portfolios that are, $10 million, $50 million, $100 million plus. Those are the type of people that I'm going to be bringing on to EmpireCast, because it has to do with everything that we're building out myself with my own, let's call it bulletproof portfolio. If you don't know what that is, then need to watch like the very last video that I just uploaded yesterday, literally, and that'll help break all that down. But yeah, essentially moving out into other things, right? Like one of the big problems I see right now is so many people have this all-in mentality, right? Maybe they're following, depending on your age too. Sorry, itchy nose. Depending on your age, it's going to be who you follow and what you're mostly vested in. Millennials, it's a little different, because with millennials, they're kind of divided between just stuff they like in the stock market. Like a lot of millennials love Tesla, so they're invested in Tesla, even though they don't really like or trust the stock market. And a lot of millennials are in what? Bitcoin, crypto. And then if you go baby boomers, I would say even starting at like 44, you get a lot of those guys, but more specifically like 50 to 70 that are gold bugs. And they are obsessed with gold, gold standards coming back, monetary policy is going to collapse, the paper Ponzi is going to finally fall, and everyone will be justified and be able to say, ha, I told you so. We'll have a new round of economists that get to tout this around as their winning call so that they can act like Nostradamus, and then they'll be paraded around on TV, they'll write 5-6 books, right? So we see all this happening, and I think for the most part it's bullshit, and it's annoying to experience, and it's annoying to see that like people aren't really adapting and are not really changing. All right, so the biggest thing I can tell you, the biggest shell shock I can give you right now, and this video is dropping, so dropping in the next 48 hours, so I won't spoil it by giving you too much, but in the next 11 years, we will be in space. Okay, in the next 4-5 years, we will have the next person on the moon. In the next 8 years, we will have moon bases. Let that sink in for a second. Let that sink in for a second. So things are about to change again as we start the next great space race. And so I think a lot of people are really missing this fact. They're really not getting it. And you can tell because what are most people doing? Arguing on Twitter about abortion laws, and if Trump is a good guy or not, and if we should trust the government, and Russia's going to do this, and we should go to war with China. That's what everyone's talking about right now. Everyone's rolling around in the mud talking about stupid shit instead of really preparing their portfolio and their mindset, preparing their mindset for what's about to come next. And now this is my opinion, but I guarantee you we're not going to be building out a lot more stuff on the moon. It's probably going to be more like we're re-inhabiting things that were already there. Okay? And I'll leave it at that. So yeah, there's this all-in mindset, and it's really annoying. We see it with Grayscale. Grayscale just did the Drop Gold campaign, aired on national television, and what is it saying? It's saying drop gold, go all in on Bitcoin. Why? Why should I go all in on Bitcoin? Why wouldn't I instead equally go all in on positions that make sense? So if, like, you got to kind of think of it as like centralization and decentralization is how I look at it. I want things on both sides. I want fiat, I want stock market stuff, I want gold and silver, which I think fits in the middle, and then I want crypto, which fits over here on the decentral side. And I want real estate assets, which I feel like real estate fits in the middle too. Okay, but yeah, it doesn't make sense any way you look at it. Like, no, I'm not going all in on gold. No, I'm not going all in on Bitcoin or cryptocurrency as a whole. No, that's stupid. Okay, all right. So let's get into it. So first things first, checking in on Tesla news, and this is like a side rant that I wanted to start with. Is I don't know what went down with Elon Musk exactly, but with the powers that be, the elites, let's call them. But at some point, he was sitting at the round table, and at some point, they cut him off, or they had a falling out, and he no longer is in. He's no longer in the boys' club, and so he's if you notice, he's consistently attacked every single day for the dumbest shit. One of the stories that sticks in my mind is the fire outside the Tesla factory, which turned out to be like a piece of burnt cardboard and some grass that lit on fire. Now, it's just a daily spectacle with a lot of people out to get him. And you got to ask yourself, why is there so many people out to get him? He's going to build 100 of his Raptor rockets, which I think it takes 6 or 7 per like starship, spaceship thing that he's building. But he's going to have 100 built by 2020, by the way. He's going to have a whole fleet of rockets by 2020. So, yeah, it's like you got a choice, because it's really like differences in perspective. What most people, I think, don't get right now is that all this division, all this noise is just a distraction. All this stuff that they're trying to put in your face, like, look over here, right? No, it's the gender stuff. No, it's the race stuff. No, it's the whatever, fill in the blank, right? They'll create a hashtag around it. They'll create so much noise around it, and then everyone gets into it, right? But there is a clear, like, division going on within the elite power structures of not only within a country, but within the global landscape as well. I think that we've all kind of played dumb for a really long time, for like this last 100 years, in thinking that like everything is honest and fair and just. It's not. And there is another structure that exists, whatever you want to call it, doesn't really matter. I don't want to get demonetized. I'm trying to like watch some of the words that I use, because you do have to watch out for that too, because it's very, very active on social media right now. But all of that's happening, and people aren't really getting that that's what's kind of going on. That there's like these different factions within the US government. There's these different factions within the global landscape. And depending on who you talk to and who you listen, is going to tell you, they're going to have their own perspective on whose fault it is, right? Everyone's always looking for whose fault it is. The scapegoat. So that we have an enemy. Because the common enemy theme, this all goes back to psychology. The common enemy theme is very, very powerful. It's used in sales copy. It's used in propaganda and war rhetoric. It's used everywhere. So anyways, rant over with. Tesla's doing just fine. They'll be all right. They're SpaceX, $2 billion in 2018. They're the largest right now, considered the largest space rocket company. All right. So the big thing that I wanted to break today was this piece here. Now, if you're an OG member in the Discord, you already got this first thing this morning. Let me just check in on chat. All right, just play nice in chat. While I'm not actively looking at it. I know that it's really, really common to like get into arguments and turn this into like a political shit fest. But let's just play nice, okay? Like here's the deal with life. We all have different opinions. And I respect that you have a different opinion than me. It's okay. We can come together in a common conversation and just talk about stuff. And you might not like everything I'm saying, but if this adds to you, if this adds to your plan, adds to your bottom line in some sort of way, then job well done. You won out of this conversation. And you can walk away saying, oh my God, Jameson's such an idiot on this thing and this thing and this thing. And that's completely fine. But at least you've gotten something out of it. So what I would just, suggest and possibly urge is just take what you can get out of what I'm sharing with you and forget the rest. I think that's the best strategy that we can all do, right? Apply. Okay, so here's the breaking news that I wanted to give you. I have not been able to confirm this yet, but it's very, very interesting. Okay, so, and I'm gonna lay this out, and I'm gonna backtrack a little bit in case you haven't been following the channel. But we've been talking about the gold manipulation case against JP Morgan since early December. I've shot 2 or 3 videos now on it. Those are all on the channel. All the resource links are there as well. But here we go. May 23rd, JP Morgan update, May 23rd, 2019. Voluntarily withdrawal from ICE-approved precious metal depository. This means that they can no longer be a custodian. This is very interesting if true. And here's the markets. Mini gold, YG. Mini silver, YI, ZG, and ZI. As of the effective date, gold and silver may not be stored at this vault for delivery against futures contracts. Now, catch you up on JP Morgan. They are a huge manipulator of gold and silver. If you haven't been following this, TF Metals would be a really good guy to follow on Twitter. Twitter's where I get like a lot of the information as it's breaking, 100%, because it is so quick. And that's like the best place I've found so far, but that is where I get a lot of information from in terms of breaking. So I've got Discord open too. All this is laid out in the macroeconomy channels. In case you have access to that, you got to be paid to have access to that, but you got to pay to play. Okay. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So pretty interesting. they have until, what was it, till May 31st. Please be advised that effective May 31st, JP Morgan will no longer be approved regular vault for the for precious metals futures contracts. JP Morgan took over the Bear Stearns short silver position in 2009, which is the largest on the planet, okay? In case you didn't know. Now, let me update you on some of the, maybe I'll bring up some of these links. Where did I just see them? Wait, no, it was right there. Okay, here we go. When did I just post this? This was posted on May 3rd in the group. Okay, so criminal sentencing has started. Let's pull this up here. Okay, let's group these together. I'm trying to keep everything in order, but I have quite a bit I want to cover with you guys, and I wasn't trying to be too organized, I guess. Hope you don't mind. Criminal sentencing of former JP Morgan Chase precious metals trader delayed as federal probe continues. So this is a big probe. This essentially floor traders from JP Morgan came forward and said, hey, for the last 10, 12 years, at minimum, some people are thinking north of 15, so over a decade, JP Morgan has been actively manipulating the price, the spot price of gold and silver through the COMEX, through the futures contracts, okay? Because if I were to just dump a ton of paper contracts on the market right now, the spot price of gold and silver would go down, right? So that's what's going on. And it, when did I first break it? December 18th, I think. But it's getting kind of interesting because they basically didn't want to move forward because they said they had an ongoing investigation. Here's the original. Is that the original? No. No. I'm sorry. That's the same one I literally... Is that the same one I just put on? So that's from December 13th. At least 6 lawsuits, all making similar allegations against the nation's biggest bank, have been filed last month in New York federal court. So there's a ton of new filings, and they're trying to... look, a combined case seeking class action status would include anyone who purchased or sold future contracts or an option on the New York MEX, platinum, palladium, or COMEX, silver and gold, between at least January 1st, 2009 and December 31st, 2015. Crazy, right? So in case you're just catching up on this story, that's what's going down with that. So with all this now that we know is true, that is in motion, okay, these floor traders have come forward and they're delaying sentencing because they've been giving them the juice. They've been instrumental in the investigation. Now, the question will be, how far does the DOJ and the FBI allow this to go before it gets into like boys club territory and they stop it or cut it off or try to save and help their, their boys, their friends? I don't know. But this would actually make sense if they've just said the whole thing's coming down. The whole thing is about to come down. We're all done trying to hide for you and defend you, whatever's going on behind the scenes, right? This is just speculation on my part. But if they were to say, hey, enough is enough, you got to at least do something, even for a short amount of time while we investigate, this would be one of those next steps, wouldn't it? Let's use basic logic for a second. This would be one of those next steps. So this is very interesting to me. And if this is true, this will lead gold and silver to absolutely moon. This would probably lead to some sort of fractal that would be similar to maybe 1980s or the 2003 fractal when ETFs were approved, the very first gold ETF. Both of those I would be looking at in terms of what would play out if this is true and if this does hit by May 31st. It'll be an absolute shitstorm. Okay, but here's what gold and silver is looking like right now. You see gold, silver, right? Nothing's like breaking out or going nuts right now. They're both kind of in a descending wedge or territory, right? And I'm on a weekly here. What am I on here? Daily, yeah. You could just call this consolidation range, really. That's all that is, okay? This is downtrending. Silver's downtrending, but yeah, consolidation for gold. And you don't have to really be an expert at indicators and technical analysis, but I will tell you the biggest thing that will be your friend with gold and silver is Fibonacci retracements. So in TradingView, you might not be using TradingView, you might be using something else, but there will be a Fib retracement use that tool because it's amazing and it plays ball. The algorithms play ball 100% on these ranges within the Fibonacci numbers. Okay, so the Fibonacci retracement is probably your best bet to keep up with that. Okay, now let's do where do I want to go from here? I kind of want to stay on this JP Morgan thread. JP Morgan came out the other day and said that the effective well, let's take another step back. We're pivoting into crypto now for just a second. Who was it? Somebody at some point said, oh, we'll tame Bitcoin, right? I have that audio still somewhere. I'm putting together a bigger video that I'll put up on the channel. But what they say is very, very interesting, very telling when these kind of bigwigs and heads of bank and heads of state, the Fed, the IMF, the BIS, when they get on TV and say some shit, you listen. Because that is precursors to future regulation, to future interest rate changes. What they say and how they say it is very telling. Body language, are they twitching? Are they nervous? Are they closed off and guarded, right? All that stuff is really, really powerful to pay attention to with what these people are saying. So fast forward, you know the story with Jamie Dimon, hated Bitcoin, said it was a scam, said it was a joke, and then kind of became this like indirect spokesperson for Bitcoin. They released this, I believe this was done in 2017 or 2018. Well, the date is up to 2018, so I assume that's when they rolled this out. But anyways, they tried to make the argument through these figures and through this. It's essentially like, what do I want to call this? Like a financial paper, okay? And this is a research paper that is now being referenced in conversations now. So it's very smart, and they do this on purpose. I've backtracked and showed you this, how the IMF has done this with doing a dual currency bail-in in one of my past videos as well. But they'll oftentimes come out with like these reports, these official reports, and then later call back on those and reference these in the conversation they're having now. So how they did that was back in this paper, they're making the argument that the baseline for crypto was $1,000. And now what they're doing is they're using the data in here to make the argument that Bitcoin should stay at 5,000. Now, knowing what you know now, what we just covered with the fact that JP Morgan has been manipulating gold and silver for a very long time. And it's because they feel what? Gold and silver should be this specific price. So they're keeping gold and silver in this, gold, it's like 11 to 1300. Silver, it's what, like 12 to 15. And because that's what they want it to stay at. Because you see, if gold and silver were to take off, with that being a big driver of value in fiat currencies, even though it's indirect, right? Like we're in the petrodollar right now. There's no gold standard of any kind. But because that's so closely still related to fiat and money and value, not only are central banks stocking up, countries are stocking up. They have been over this year, over 2018 and 2019 at record high numbers. But gold is still valued like it's money. Okay, and it's considered the true money. Even though now we have this new digital player on the scenes, right? But what was my point here? They need to manipulate gold and silver to keep the dollar strong. That's my point. Okay, long-winded, I know. What else did I want to show you here? There's actually another piece I wanted to touch on with gold and silver. No, that was from a couple weeks ago. I mean, yep, silver, copper. We've been tracking it fairly decently. Gold, copper, silver, palladium, right? Okay, so here's a piece that I dropped on May 16th in a group. Another 8,000 new COMEX gold contracts brings the 9-day total to over 84,000 contracts. This means that the total volume of contracts has increased by 20%, while the price is up less than 1%. And 84,000 contracts equals $8,400,000 in digital ounces. The entire COMEX vault only holds 7.7 million ounces. That would lead to what? Supply and demand, right? The price would have to go up. And yet the price only went up about 1%. So this is the kind of stuff that you're dealing with in the gold and silver markets, right? But anyways, they're trying to do the same thing with crypto. So you've got comments that bankers have made in the past. We'll tame Bitcoin. Bitcoin's a scam. I mean, you've got Warren Buffett, Charlie Munger. Charlie Munger recently at the 2009 Berkshire Hathaway yearly meetup or whatever, yearly event that they put on, he said that he compared and he called them the Bitcoin people, but he compared it to the life of Judas, whoever, basically one of the original apostles who betrayed Jesus for 30 pieces of silver. That's a really strange correlation to make, isn't it? And I just can't drop that. I can't let go of that. Random plug, but I routinely talk about these things in a daily email. It's just empirealerts.substack.com, entirely free. You can put in your email address if you want to be able to get alerts. It comes right to your inbox when I drop another email, but it's not daily, even though I say it's a daily email. Pretty close to daily, but it's good. It's good stuff. I think you guys will like it a lot. And if you haven't been checking it out, I'm talking about stuff like this as it breaks all the time. EmpireAlerts.substack.com. There you go. I just dropped it in the chat. Do we have any of my moderators in here? No. Cool. We still got 20 people on watching. Cool. We got a bunch of XRP people. Hey, I got love for XRP. I think it definitely has a place in everything that's going on. You guys have watched my videos on the channel. I think I got like 2 or 3 talking about Ripple. We did some deep dives into Ripple for sure. Okay, so that's JP Morgan talking about talking about Bitcoin, which this is concerning. What's concerning about this is because you have to look at multiple perspectives. And I never like to close off my mind based on beliefs I have or worldviews I have or just what I would personally like to see. I try to stay open, and that way, whatever kind of comes to me, hey, let's play around with this, and maybe we can come up with a theory. And once we get a theory or an opinion, we test it out, back test it as much as we can, and see. And then forward test as well. Like, how does the rolling out of future data might prove or disprove my theory that I created back here? Right? And I think that's really important for all of us, right? Like all of us who are invested in gold, silver, I'm sorry, but unless you're like invested in it, real estate, crypto, unless you're invested in it and you just turn a blind eye, you kind of have to understand the basics of market cycles, psychology, market structure, and this kind of macro perspective. So it's very interesting to me that literally we're getting news now that JP Morgan might be essentially stripped out of the COMEX, stripped out of futures and options in precious metals, while they're simultaneously putting out almost indoctrination of what they want Bitcoin to be priced at. That's interesting to me. Will they get it? I don't know, because right now Bitcoin is looking really, really close to other fractal cycles that have happened in the past. And according to the data that I've got, we've entered into the next 4-year cycle, which puts Bitcoin at a very high price. Is that guaranteed? No. Could the fractal cycles change? Yes. You can look back on things like gold and silver and when ETFs came out and future contracts got launched, and all those things essentially did change the trajectory of gold. Gold was going to the moon, just like Bitcoin was in 2017. But when December came, the 17th and the 21st, and all the futures contracts rolled out, well, things changed. So the fractal changed at that point, right? Anyway, I do find this very interesting. Take it for what it is. Next, let's pivot back into gold. Russia State Bank is exploring, it's the Bank of Russia, is exploring the concept of a gold-backed cryptocurrency. I think that there is, and I've talked about this a lot on the channel, many times, probably 2-3 videos now, since this last 60 days. I think there is a place for because we got the SDR too. Let's lay these pieces out, right? In case you haven't been following, then you're really about to get some data. Okay, so we've got the SDR, which is the basket, the currency basket, which the US dollar sits in, the euro sits in, the Chinese yuan sits in, okay? And they tried to roll that out as a global currency. They tried to roll that out as the new reserve currency before. It failed miserably. And the whole project was kind of just sitting there, simmering, not really doing shit. I think there's some stuff that they did in 2016, and then now, with the IMF coming out and talking in some of their recent blog posts about this e-money and this dual currency system, well, to me, my logic just naturally goes to, well, it makes sense to bring in the SDR, and it makes sense to bring a gold-backed currency, and it would make sense for either at the how many do you get, right? At the top, do we just get one that's gold-backed, or does every country get their own? Especially G20 countries. Do G20 countries get their own state-backed, gold-backed state cryptocurrency? How does that work? I don't know how many there's going to be, but the argument for that is pretty strong. In some sort of capacity. I don't think that they would adopt an existing cryptocurrency unless they had to, and I think the closest to that would be Ripple. It would not be Bitcoin at all. Bitcoin really is starting to take on a new personality, even though it's in an original white paper in 2008. It was supposed to be a peer-to-peer cash, digital cash. It's not that, guys. Right now, average transaction is $4. I mean, Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin SV beat that by, a huge amount. They're like less than a penny. Ripple's like less than a penny. So from a transaction standpoint, Bitcoin is not, I don't think it was ever going to be, even though that was the original idea. I don't think it was ever going to be that, though. It makes more sense as being like this digital gold. And that's only because there's not a better terminology for it. So anyways, we've got this conversation continuing, right? We have the BIS rolling out Basel III last month, talking about how they now consider gold a top tier asset, a tier 1 asset. Before they put it in the low end of the categorization and said that there's still a high risk with gold. Now they're saying there's no risk with gold. So this is interesting little pivots. And where are these breadcrumbs leading us is what you got to look at. And we can only make assumptions. We can make educated guesses, create theories, and then obviously as things go, you're proved right or wrong, I guess, right? And then you just kind of adapt and pivot based on that. So interesting piece. What else do I got for you? Okay, let's continue with the gold. On news that Theresa May quits, the gold to British pound pairing reaches 1,015 per ounce, which I don't know. I don't follow the British pound to gold at all. I'm not really heavy in metals outside of just generally keeping an eye on US dollar to gold, US dollar to silver. I'm not actively trading that. So I don't really pay attention to it. Yeah, it doesn't say. It doesn't say like how long ago that, if that's support or resistance, or if this is a new mile marker for gold to British pound. If you guys know, drop it in the chat so that other people can check it out. What was the other thing I wanted to show you? Okay, so we covered Tesla. Let me shut these down. I showed you gold and silver. Here's a quick look at crypto, by the way. I got hair that's like itching my lip. That's why I keep doing weird shit with my mouth, by the way. All right, so here's Bitcoin. Here's ETH. I got Engine on there because I thought it was going to break up, but it didn't. And then here's Binance. Binance is another good play. I've been talking about that. We've been talking about that consistently in Empire Community Discord since it was $4, by the way. And it's now $34 is the new all-time high. All right, so anyways, it looks like Bitcoin is starting to kind of break out of that wedge that it was in. ETH is not yet. Well, ETH the Bitcoin, ETH the US dollar, I'm not paying attention to on this chart. So there you go. There's that. All right, we covered this. We covered this. This. Covered this. Theresa May quits. Oh, that's the other thing I wanted to say. Central Bank of Russia dropped this on May 21st. For April, they added 500,000 ounces or 15.6 tons of gold. Everyone's just been accumulating. Central banks have been accumulating. Countries have been accumulating. This is very, very interesting. Oh, that's the other thing I wanted to show you. This. China's largest chip maker delists from New York Stock Exchange. So the trade wars are escalating quite quickly. Yeah, I got this piece on Goldman. I'm not going to go into it, but you guys can check it out if you want to. Let me drag that in. Goldman Sachs is now talking about worst case scenario. Let's see what else I got. Let's see if anything new has dropped. I'm just going to check Twitter really quick. Funny thing about Bitcoin right now is everyone's sitting on the sidelines. I feel like everyone's sitting on the sidelines with cash and nobody's bought Bitcoin. And now they're all like, well, shit, I want Bitcoin to come down. It's like, Don't work like that. Yeah, don't work. It don't work like that. So a bunch of people are waiting for this 5K retracement. I really don't think that's going to happen. Yeah, I completely agree. Dark horse. Yeah, silver should not be at that price. Gold should not be at that price. It is insane, actually. It is absolutely insane. Yeah, XDR is already the listing code for SDR, the SDR basket. Oh, I didn't know that. Maybe I just don't remember it, but I think I brought that up in the deep dive video that I did on it all those days ago. Okay. We got inverted yield curve stuff still happening. I'm just trying to scan this really quick. That's interesting. Okay, I won't get into that. Some new data. Maybe I'll save that for another video. Like I said, we're behind like maybe 5 or 6 videos. Sucks. I've got some space stuff. Got some really cool stuff that we're going to talk about and get into. Just seeing a bunch of TA and dumb stuff. All right. What else do I got in here? Anything? No. Oh, this was interesting with gold for all the gold bugs that we got on the stream. Check this out. I dug this up the other day. Awful site. I don't even know. Like, oh, it's mobile. That's why. It's mobile business today. But check this out. Indian households may have accumulated up to 25,000 tons of gold, thereby retaining the tag the world's largest holders of metal, according to WGC. I actually haven't dove into the World Gold Council data from last month. I think they sent that to me like a couple weeks ago. I still haven't gone through it. That's crazy. The value of this holding is roughly about 40% of India's nominal gross domestic product. Wow. Demand for gold at 750 to 780 tons. Again, 760 in 2018, so it's up a little bit. What is that, 10%? Yeah, interesting. Hey. What else did I have? Oh, okay, so we were talking about China, trade wars. This woman is really good to follow. She's mostly in crypto, but she's actually on the ground in Hong Kong and different parts of China. So this is a sign that she saw like today. So the conversion rate was 1 to 0.08, and today now it's at 1.1 already. So there's minor bank run, I guess, indicators going on in China right now. For those who think maybe China is being unaffected or anything like that. Oh, what I was going to look at here is, did they willingly delist themselves or did they get booted off? Withdrawing its ADRs from the New York Stock Exchange. Okay, so they are willingly pulling themselves off of the market. That is interesting. China's biggest maker of semiconductors is withdrawn. Who are they? Semiconductor SMIC? SMIC? Yeah, it's interesting the stuff that they're doing, or China's directly going, spreading and talking about Steve Bannon. They've never actually, I don't think they've ever done that on an individual before. Countries, yeah, but their propaganda machine is like against Steve Bannon as a person. It's interesting. All right. Yeah, cool. You guys like what we just went through? Was any of this new, or you guys all up to speed? You guys like it? You hate it? It's cool. Like, it's varying opinions. I get it. Oh, we're finally back up to green. Live stream health figures after 40 minutes. Oh, and there it goes. Debt too much in bankruptcy. The dollar is a debt instrument. Kind of, yeah. It's more like a tool that you have to decide how you want to play and leverage it. I think there's good debt and bad debt, which I get to some people as a thin-haired argument, but you got to, from a business standpoint, you got to be able to scale, and it's pretty hard to do that without money, right? Okay, good information or what? You guys like it? You guys digging it? I think that's all I had. I'm gonna cruise through some stuff really quick. I know that we've kind of talked in and out of gold and crypto, touched on macro. What else did I have? I had JPM, China, then macro outlook. Yeah, the macro outlook was really just what we talked about in the beginning. Is I think people are just looking at this all wrong. They're looking at it with this singular mindset, and it makes sense. And I've talked about this before, but where does this all start with? Like, this started with now the people that are now baby boomers, right? When they were kids and they were growing up, the indoctrination they got through mainstream media, through the president, through the talking points, right? There was no internet back then, so it was your TV. And they were told to do what? Go to school, get an education, one area of profession, get a job, get a good job, one job, right? And stay there your whole life, retire, have 2 kids, 1 wife, 2 cars, 1 house, maybe a vacation house, maybe 1 vacation a year, right? So this like kind of singular mentality has been baked into society. And now the biggest thing that I see that's different is millennials, because of they were born into the internet, not my era. I got to see both because I'm 33. So I got to see the end of the industrial age and then the beginning of the internet age. So I got to see both. And so that gives me a unique perspective. I think it's crippled and hamstrung a lot of upper end millennials, or maybe I'm a different, who cares about the title, right? But a lot of the younger demographic have been born and raised into technology, into YouTube, into different new authorities. And those people want to go faster right now. They want 5G yesterday. Forget the health effects that it might cause. They want it right now, right? And they want to be out in space. They want to be traveling the galaxy. And that we're about to make that big jump, and I just feel like so many people are not getting it. They're really not getting it. So they can think about it, and they're like, oh, that's cool in theory, but they're not understanding that we're like less than 10 years away from that. It'll open up new markets. There'll be new minerals. It might completely destroy gold and silver and palladium and every other mineral or metal that's on the market right now. Why? Because there's one specific asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter that they think is the core of an old planet, and it has trillions of tons of all that shit. Now, granted, would that we're talking supply and demand, right? Would that actually destroy gold and silver? I don't know. Demand might go up so much by then that supply gets absorbed into the market, right? As the market extends out, who knows what we might meet in our space travels, right? And Earth might become all of a sudden this big provider of gold and silver to an intergalactic market. And so gold might still go to the moon. Gold could go to $100,000 an ounce, even if we found 10 trillion tons of it tomorrow, right? So that's the stuff that I just don't think anyone's thinking about. Also, too, I've showed this. I shot one exclusive video on this, but let me pull this up. There's a lot of doom and gloom. And an economist's job, I think nowadays, I feel like is just to really scare the shit out of people. And that's really dumb. Because if you look at the overall, and everyone wants to point the finger, right? Even in the chat, I'm watching you guys in the chat, and a lot of you guys are still in the game of pointing the finger. But check this out. In the 100 years that they've been tracking data on the S&P 500, now we're talking about everything. World wars, the Great Depression. It's consistently gone up. So on a large enough time frame, it's still going up. So to me, that just tells me I need to create a better portfolio strategy. I need to create a portfolio strategy that will last 200, 500 years. China does this. China's life cycle is like 300 to 500 years. In America, we can't even do 100 years. So for as much as everyone wants to, again, point the blame, just look in the mirror. If you don't like it, it's probably because it's itching and triggering something about yourself that you feel insecure about. So make a better plan. It's that simple. I don't understand why we have to argue about all this stuff. Let me load up this new one, SPX macro. Check this out. Oops. Where am I now? That's not it. Am I in a larger time frame? 1 month, maybe? Or am I in a different pairing? Oh, I can't find it now. Where did I put that? Am I in the mini? Oh, silver, DJI. Okay, oh well. So this has consistently gone up. Go back to that video, it's on the channel. I go through the whole thing. And I just shot a new video that will drop in the next 48 hours that it goes over the next 10 years with all the space goals that NASA just came out with 37 missions that they're going to do, getting us to the moon. Elon Musk wanted to get to Mars. We still got Virgin Galactic sitting there with 650 people who paid $250,000 to $300,000 to go to the moon. They haven't booked a date yet, but that's still sitting there. And then we got Blue Origin, Jeff Bezos. So my point is simple. It's that you got to really challenge your beliefs and you got to challenge your thinking with this stuff. Instead of pointing at this all in perspective, that's the bad guy, this is the good guy. It's not that simple anymore. There's too many dimensions to the game now. And that guy that believes like that and thinks like that, you're going to lose, dude. You're going to lose your ass too. And then you're going to be even more bitter than you already are now. So look, we can look at we can just look at this chart, even though I don't have it mapped out and pretty and stuff. Let's get log off. Okay, so this goes back to the 70s, but there's one, oh, this is silver. What am I doing? Let's get DIA up. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so it's got to be a different pairing that I had up that goes back further. Because this is only going back to 98. I mean, we're going back to early 1900s. If you watch that video, you'll see. It's covering every World War, Vietnam War, every president, everything. Everything is annotated. Boom, 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 and chucked out on that thing. And if you'll see, over time, we are still going up. Okay? There's these big corrections. This is the financial crisis right here. There are these big corrections and these big times where fear takes over. Then greed comes back. Fear takes over. Greed comes back. Fear takes over. Greed comes back. Fear, greed, fear, greed. It's a tug of war. It's a tug of war. Okay, here's one of the biggest cycles, 140%. We can thank Obama for that, even though most people hated him. And I know that there was a whole black-white stuff going on back then and people couldn't get it together. But, he accounted for 140% gain on S&P 500. So you should probably thank him to a degree. And we had some pullback. And here's your December. This is 2018. So this is your government shutdown going into Christmas. That whole disaster. Trump is accountable for about a 40-45% positive gain so far, but we're entering into the next greed cycle. And over the next 10 years, we're going to go into space. Things are going to get interesting. I think the next 20 years will mark the easiest and simplest time to make money. What I mean by that is there will be so much wealth generated in this next decade that it's going to make people's heads spin. And I think what will be more based on this time is not how much money you had coming into it, even though that will be a factor. It's how ready you were mentally. Because let's be honest here, if all of a sudden tomorrow there's aliens and a spacecraft lands in your backyard, I still think 8 to 9 out of 10 people are going to shit their pants and completely lose their mind. Even though they've just, dumped us with a decade of Marvel movies and intergalactic travel in space, I still think most people can't handle that. But that is going to be a new reality in the next decade. So I think it's going to have more to do with mental aptitude, awareness, and discernment than anything else. Because I don't see the news volume coming down. I don't see them all of a sudden just backing off of the amount of overwhelm they're trying to pump into the markets every single day. I don't see that coming down. I see it staying the same or going up. Right? Because it's not like they're just going to come out tomorrow and stop doing it. I just don't see that happening, right? So anyways, that's what I got for you. Yeah, I think most people they want to make it about who's the good guy and who's the bad guy. and it's more than that. We're well beyond that dimension at this point. So you can point the finger at Iran or China or whoever CNN tells you to point the finger at, but you're going to have to discern and make these decisions for yourself and determine this for yourself, not listen to talking heads on TV. And you even got to watch on YouTube now too. You got to watch because there's a lot of paid shills and behavior that's not best for the individual, the sovereign individual, happening on YouTube as well, right? Anyways, any last minute questions? We're going to wrap it up. If you want to join our community, it's free. Okay? 2 ways to do it. If you want to get into the Discord, you just go to empireresearch.group. Give your name and email. Promise you it's worth it, but you can always unsubscribe 5 minutes after you do it. You get access to 3 free reports, and you get access to the Discord for free. 15 different channels. We got paid stuff too, don't worry. And that helps support the channel, right? That's where we're going with this thing. We're privatizing. We've essentially privatized the whole thing. For a year and a half, I shot videos on this channel. Year and a half, I just gave away everything I had for free. Everything I had for free. Not really asking for anything. And it worked out, But also then, back then, I was also mostly living off my portfolio. Then things changed. And the direction I'm going now, I'm just like, you know what? I'm changing the model. And we've been working on that actively since maybe October of last year. So I hope you guys have been enjoying it. I think the quality of content's gone up. I think the quality of challenge that we are asking of you, the viewers, has definitely gone up, which I think is great because it leads to a better version of you, of ourselves, more sovereign individual, right? Cool, guys. That's all I've got. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you liked it, great. If you hated it, that's great too. It's all good. Take what you need out of it and carry on with the day. That's it. Lunchtime now. It's time for me to eat. Love you guys. Jump into the Discord. Let's continue the conversation if you want in general chat. And be on the lookout. More videos dropping soon. See ya.